Hey Squeak Squad, it's Sydney. This is going to be my reading log for January of 2025. Stuff I read in December 2024 before I finished off the year. I got through a decent amount this year, and I'm excited to talk about some of it, even if my voice is going to suffer for it because I cannot talk for long periods of time without my voice getting sore for some reason. Before I get started, I am curious. What's your favorite book that you read in December of last year, or recently if you didn't read anything in December? Book, manga, whatever. I'm curious to know what my viewers like to read. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. First of all, first book, starting with Viz, I have Akane Banashi, Volume 9. I always enjoy reading Akane Banashi. The Art of Rakugo is always really fun to learn about. We have the end of a competition that Akane's in this volume, the aftermath of that, a little festival arc, or a little festival episode, I would say. You see all the characters with their different festival attires because they're kind of competing in the festival to see who does the best with their food stall sales. A nice, fun, light moment after the intense competition. Then we've actually got a double feature for Blue Box 12 and Blue Box 13. Like I mentioned in my haul, I missed Volume 12 in the release cycle. This is it's a romance sports, but there's not a lot to talk about with each volume, unless I get specifically into spoiling the twists of the plot. We did have a major point of progression in the last couple volumes. Again, don't really want to say too much about it, because I'll spoil the romance story, but it's still a fantastic series, probably my favorite shonen romance series, even ahead of Komi Can't Communicate. But Komi Can't Communicate's more comedy, this is more drama. More drama romance, I would say, not a lot of comedy into it. Then we've got Dandadan Volume 10, another really fun volume of Dandadan with a it just feels like we're getting a rotating cast of even more ridiculous people joining. We've got a somewhat major threat set up in this volume that hopefully is going to pay off in the next volume. An intense incident with that threat and something that almost moved a certain plot point along. Next, we've got the debut volume of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Shining Diamond's Demonic Heartbreak. This is Volume 1. It's by Kohei Kadano and Tasuku Katasuma. Of course, concept by Araki. So let's see. It follows Whole Horse and Oingo Boingo and Josuke Higashikata Part 4. So it's essentially Whole Horse is trying to find a lost parrot that is related to, or the former owner, yes, the former owner of that parrot was the owner of the Falcon Pet Shop from Part 3. Don't read this if you haven't read any JoJo, that's going to make no sense. I was alright on the first volume. I didn't really love it as much as I was hoping I would, but I'm hoping it grows on it, because it's only got 3 volumes, so I'm not exactly sure how the plot's going to progress from here. I mean, it seems like so far all he's doing is just trying to find a parrot, but he's meeting up with 2 other people in the meantime, and kind of meeting up with some of the other existing stand users in the series. Then we've got Jujutsu Kaisen, Volume 24, with an absolutely crazy plot twist in this volume that I did not know was going to happen, and definitely took me off guard. Can't spoil that. I need to figure out how to get lighting better without this ring light glaring off of the covers like that. I guess if I hold it too low, it does that. Though it does work for an angel, right? Still really enjoy Jujutsu Kaisen. I know people kind of disliked it in its later half, similar to My Hero, but I don't really see the issues with it. My only problem with it is it's a bit hard to follow everything that's going on sometimes. It feels like there's a lot of plot covered in a very short amount of time, and a lot of characters. Next, we've got the final volume of Mashle, Volume 18, where everything comes to a nice wrap for this series. Decent shonen ending with a nice Not so much a where are they now, but just actually, yeah, no, not really. A very, very, very short description of what happened afterwards, but a little short come together of all the characters at the end after the big trouble is resolved. It was a decent end to a series that I think had a better start than it had a middle point, but overall it was a really fun series to read, and I'm glad we got it licensed over here, and I got to read all of it. Then we've got Volume 14 of Mission Yozakura Family. This is focusing on Kyoichiro, I think is his name. Yes. Um, I guess I can say for this volume, Kyoichiro vanishes, and everybody in the family is trying to figure out what happened, why he did it, and we kind of get to explore that. We get some action scenes in this volume. We've got some plot revelations in this volume. Overall, always fun to read Yozakura Family. I hope that's not a problem. Hopefully my voice is still recording. Then we've got Rainbow Days, Volume 13. We have got the final love confession of the couples that we seem to have established so far in this series, and we're coming up on the end in a few more volumes. Of course, it's the love confession for the couple that I actually like, my second favorite couple. So it was nice, well handled, cute. I just wish this series had less of the couples that I don't like, which is like two of the friends. I only like two out of the four main guys in this series, and the other two I just cannot stand. Next, we've got a debut volume, Rainbows After Storms by Luca Kobachi, and this is a GL about two girls who are dating in high school. It's an all-girls high school, and they're trying to keep it secret from everybody that they're dating, but still kind of trying to find a way to, flirt and interact with each other in school in a way that won't get them caught, but will still let them show their affection for each other. It's a very cute, I think it's a comedy, I'd say it's a comedy romance, and I like having GL that aren't like super explicit, that are just normal people having a normal relationship. It's not like crazy raunchy stuff or anything. I don't really read a lot of GL, so I'm probably typecasting a lot of stuff here. But this just feels like kind of like a shonen series, but it's girls. Two girls that are in love with each other. And this is also, from what I've read, Luca Kobachi is the wife of Tomohito Oda, I believe is his name, the creator of Komi Can't Communicate, and I feel like there's a slight similarity in the humor styles, which also probably adds to the fact of why I really like this series. I think both of them have really fun writing styles. Next up, we've got Shoha Shoten, Volume 6. We've also got I don't know if it actually finished this volume, or if it's... let's see. Yes. We have, in the middle of a competition in this volume, we actually have the main characters finally doing their performance, I believe. No, their performance is coming up very, very soon. But we got to see a few of the other Manzai comedy performances in this volume. We got to see some of the groups that we don't normally get to see, which is interesting. Really well written Manzai comedy. I don't know anything about Manzai comedy, but I think it had funny moments. I could understand why people were laughing. I think it's a good series overall, honestly. Even if it's not something that's going to get me into Manzai comedy. Then we've got Ice Guy and the Cool Girl, Volume 8. And this was just evil. They left off with the worst kind of cliffhanger in this volume. And they're just almost at the point where they're establishing the relationship. They're so close. But they're just not quite there. They need to get together already. Seriously. Anyways, next up we've got Full Night, Volume 3. We've got somewhat the finishing... Well, it seems like it might be the finishing of the mystery arc with the serial killer plant person thing. What are those things called in this world? They have a name... Spiriflores. The serial killer Spiriflore in this volume. We have things seeming to wrap up. I say seeming because, read the volume. It's very, very fun read. The art style is gorgeous. The story is really riveting, interesting. The characters are well written. Definitely recommend to give this a shot, even if it's not really in your wheelhouse typically. Then we've got Insomniacs After School, Volume 8. I believe we actually have some more explanations about the main girl, Isaki? I think her name's Isaki. Yes, yes. Isaki Magari. We get some more explanation about her. I think it was congenital. I don't know the right word. Her health condition that seems to be something that could be fatal at any moment. We get some more explanation about that. We get, yes, we get a little short bit of a school festival at the beginning here. Or actually through the middle. I don't know where it falls in the school with the school festival. Anyways, we have a school festival happening in this volume. We have some more discussion about her heart problems and her life just continuously being a point of never knowing when it's going to end. Still enjoy this series. It's grown on me more and more as I've read it. Doesn't hurt that the art's really, really pretty. Next up, we've got Magilumia, Magical Girls Inc., Volume 5. We have I think she's the intern, yes, because she's the one that's dressed completely differently, as an intern probably would be. She's interning from a different magical girl company to get some work experience at a different company, learn how they do things, that sort of thing. We have her finishing up her time here. This volume, we've got a new threat introduced with one of these, they call them Kai, the creatures that the magical girls fight. New one of those that's dangerous in ways they haven't seen before, and we're starting to get like a little conspiracy happening with how that's going to be dealt with. Yeah, good volume, good series. Then we've got the final volume of Neighborhood Story by Ayazawa, and that's volume 4. As always, it still has these gorgeous little heart cutouts that make me think of the 90s, with those little hole punchers with different shapes on them. Very cute and fun. We have, I think, just like the whole story wrap. Does it wrap up with graduations? Yeah, it wraps up. That's right. I can't believe I forgot. This wraps up with a full-on time skip and everything. We get to learn how everybody's life ended up being after their time in school. We get basically all you can think of to get resolved in this volume gets resolved. It was a really fun, cute series, and I look forward to reading more from Yazawa. I think Last Quarter is actually like one of my next books to read, the second volume, so I really look forward to that. Definitely give Neighborhood Story a shot if you have any interest in fashion, shoujo, or Ayazawa's works. Then we've got Volume 15 of Fist of the North Star. I will say, these 3 characters, there's something really uncanny about how they look as children because they look so much like their adult counterparts, but like their faces were just shrunk and put on tiny bodies. It's a little bit silly looking to me. We've got, let's see. Yeah, we've got more and more build up to the fight against, I can't say what his name is yet, I don't believe. Hold on. Yeah, we have more build up to the fight against Kao, especially with what's happening with Ryu right now. And it seems like Kao's going to be the ultimate villain, the ultimate end for this series, judging by the fact that there's only a few volumes left. So I think we're going to be ending after this arc on the island. I'm excited to see how it's going to end, see if it handles the ending as well as it could. I didn't like the first half of the series. I like the second half a lot, but the arts always stay consistently gorgeous and breathtaking. That's all for the Vizes. Now I'm going to move into the 7 Seas. Let's see. Actually, I think I have these reversed. No, I don't. I just have that many of those. Anyways. First off, we have Don't Call It Mystery, volumes 11 to 12. Let's see. What's followed in this volume? I believe this is actually starting another mystery, because we're wrapping up a mystery that started in this volume, which is related to, I think it's a house they go to. Yeah, they go to a part-time job, and you know how things go with this main character. If he's going anywhere to do something, there's going to be a mystery, there's going to be a death, there's going to be crime, there's going to be something where he's going to get involved trying to solve it. We've got more of the background plot built up. The plot with Garo. Yes, the plot with Garo and all the other people around him trying to find out who murdered his sister, while we have Totino doing this part-time job thing. And then also we have another mystery starting with a potential murder on a bridge in, I don't know what city of, or what part of Japan it was. I'm not going to dig for that because that's going to take like 10 minutes trying to find it. Still really fun mystery. Never can tell what's going to happen next, but I'm probably just really bad at guessing mystery plots. Then we've got the Eccentric Doctor of the Moonflower Kingdom, Volume 8. And we finally have Koyo finishing the treatment of the mountain village and this mysterious illness that took over that village and not hospitalized. Well, what's hospitalized? Would you say hospitalized if there's no hospitals? Caused so many of the villagers to be bedridden and or die. And we have her finally returning to the capital in this volume at the very end. We've got some more development on the STEM sect and things happening with it and certain people within it. Some betrayals. Always fun reading Eccentric Doctor. It's something I want more people to experience. It's a great story. Then we've got the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, the comic, Volume 8. As always, I have a hard time remembering what happened in the previous volumes of this series, but I am still enjoying it, as I always say, though it does seem like I'm kind of repeating myself every time I say this, so maybe I should familiarize myself with the source material more through watching the, whatever the Chinese term for anime is, that adaptation of it to kind of understand it better. But anyways, we've got let's see, I think we've got, I'm honestly kind of at a loss for words. I don't remember anything that happened in this volume. I mean, I remember the backstory getting fully finished, and then finding out who is causing this thing with the body parts being found, and the cursed... Gosh, I feel bad for not remembering this, because like I vaguely remember, but not well enough to talk about it in detail. But yes, I also think we have the main character being revealed as who he is, and actually being shown to be possessing the other body. I will probably just move on from this. I like the series, I promise. I just don't remember it, which is probably shows that I should just try rereading through it at some point and getting a better understanding of things that are going on. Next, I've got Killing Stalking, Volume 8, and this is the final volume of Killing Stalking. This was, in my opinion, not a really good series. It felt like trauma porn. Pardon my French. I think the ending was deserved for both parties, for the things that happened in the ending. Neither of them were innocent. One of them was much less innocent, but I just don't really think I enjoyed the series. It was just kind of a dumpster fire. Next, we've got Last Game, Volume 7. We've actually got a confession happening in this volume. We've got somebody realizing certain feelings for somebody, hint, 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 but kind of not really understanding their feelings and trying to work through them, which makes sense. We're getting near like the end of the series here. It's fun. It's a cute read, generally. It's a good shoujo. I'd recommend it if you like romance, if you like comedy, if you like... I wouldn't say it's even similar to Kaguya-sama, because it's very one-sided. It's like Kaguya-sama if only one of them was playing the game, which is kind of fun in its own way. Next, we've got another final volume with My Androgynous Boyfriend, Volume 5. We have the relationship finally reaching its natural, I don't want to say natural conclusion, but the point that happens a lot of these romance series where it's the end of the series is generally the characters getting married. We have that happening in this volume, which, they've been dating for the entire series, so it's not entirely surprising. We have their lives fully getting shown out in this volume, what they're doing, what their futures are going to be. It was a fun series, nothing spectacular though. It's just a cute read with pretty characters. And we've got another final volume with Orb on the Movements of the Earth, which is volume 7 to 8. I do think this series had a very, very good story to tell. It had a lot of good use of passing down knowledge in a lineage and kind of linking different people to each other through these kind of like conspiracies. It was a great series to read. I always say that I'm not a huge fan of the art, but I don't mean that as something super negative about it. It's just a personal thing. I think the art's not great, but I do love the story. And I hope the anime does make up for that with the art being a little bit better than the art is in the manga, but I'm also just very particular about that sort of thing. Then we've got another thick manhwa volume with A Stepmother's Marchen, volume 5. We've got, let's see. Yeah, we've got Jeremy actually doing some not good things. Or wait, it's Elias. Sorry, it's Elias is not doing good things. We've got the Cardinal kind of getting more and more involved in the story and his role with Cherie, main girl, or the main woman. We've got another couple characters really voicing their intents for a romance. It is a really, really good manhwa. It is just very long and wordy. It's not too hard to follow, it's just too hard to remember all of the things that happen in it. Then we've got Though I Am an Inept Villainess, Tale of the Butterfly Rat Body Swap in the Main Court Manga Volume 6. We've got characters realizing that these characters are actually somebody else. We've got, I think this is actually, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Hidden truths and machinations exposed in this volume. We've got characters showing why they're doing what they're doing. We've got new plot twists happening. I guess like to give like a quick little description there. The villainess, the heroine inside the villainess's body is having to take care of rice paddies, trying to help this village because she's been essentially kidnapped and she can't do anything but just kind of help where she's at. And they want to send a rescue for her, but issues happen that prevent that, and that's kind of what happens in this volume. I'm not really sure if I should be giving like full summaries or just my opinions on things, but if anybody thinks what I'm doing is a little bit off or any suggestions, feel free to let me know. I am open to growing. Then we've got a BL that I really unexpectedly loved, which is Wet Dream Aquarium by Non-Food. This is a one-shot about a guy who falls head over heels for a super, super adorable, nerdy guy who is obsessed with fish. And because of his attraction to this guy, and because they start visiting aquariums together, and he learns more intimate details about fish than he ever needed to know. He starts having wet dreams with them, with this guy appearing in them, and he's kind of having to work through what that means for him. It is a really, really cute BL. If you're okay with a little bit of smut, I would definitely recommend reading it. It's a very good time. Then we've got Who Made Me a Princess, Volume 8. In this volume, we are wrapping up the brainwashing plot. The brainwashings, or not brainwashing, the memory wiping slash curse on the king plot line in this volume, which I'm not entirely sure I liked how it was handled. It did feel like it was very quickly addressed without much without like a lot of effort from the main heroine's part. I understand that it was kind of supposed to just be something that was very dangerous, but she ended up getting through it, but it somehow felt like it wasn't extremely dangerous with the way it was shown and portrayed. But regardless, Who Made Me a Princess is also another fantastic manhwa that I would definitely recommend to people. Then I'm going to jump into Kodansha, starting with Ashita no Joe, Fighting for Tomorrow, Volume 1, a series about I think he is an orphan, but he's a drifter who doesn't really have a job, ends up in a town, gets in a fight, and an old, I think he's homeless, or he's either, yeah, no, he's homeless, but has a job. He ends up finding out, or noticing that he could have the potential to be an amazing boxer, and is just pushing and pushing and pushing to try and get him to learn under him for boxing. And the story is essentially just about him trying to get Joe to become the world's, I don't want to say the world's best boxer, to realize his potential as an amazing boxer. And it's Joe's journey into understanding what it would be to be a boxer, to finding out about that, finding if it's the right thing for him, and how he's worked into that position. It's a really, really good story. Joe is very crude. He's very much I don't even think he has a heart of gold, honestly. He's kind of an asshole. But he's a really interesting character to read about, and I would definitely recommend to check this out. Again, I've said this before, my only complaint with this release is the fact that it is about, like, not extremely big. It's a 3-in-1, I believe, but it is $10 more than the large premium hardcovers by Kodansha for, I don't remember if Kodansha's Vinland Saga or if it's, no, I think Kodansha's Vinland Saga, but regardless, the price seems high for what it is, and I think that's not great for a already risky series to license, because it's a classic series, which don't seem to sell as well as their contemporaries. So hopefully it does still sell well, and we can continue getting some of these classics finally licensed. Anyways, moving on, we've got Volume 4 of The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. We've got main character finally opening up to his friends about his past. We've got more growth among the friend circle. I think that's kind of the main focus with this volume, is just kind of getting everybody acquainted truly with each other. This is also really, really, really good shonen romance that I'd recommend. And then we've got the infamous Rent a Girlfriend, Volume 28. It does seem like we are starting to get back on the endless train of will they, won't theys that Rent a Girlfriend is famous for having. So I'm cautiously optimistic to hope that it does resolve itself at some point. But yeah, essentially what happens after this volume is, or in this volume is, she is not responding to Kazuya, and Kazuya thinks it's because he's a terrible person. He takes it all super negatively. He internalizes it, and we find out it's for a different reason than what he thinks it is, but it does kind of seem like they're just kind of slowly moving the romantic relationship forward at a snail's pace, which I've heard is people's main complaint about the series. Then we've got I Cross-Dress for the IRL Meetup, Volume 2. This volume we've got, oh gosh, what all do we have in this? They go to the beach. Some of the guys who are cross-dressing get hit on by other guys, and they aren't exactly fans of that. They get somebody helps them, and we have potentially somebody else developing a romantic interest in one of these characters that are male presenting as female, but not the. Three of them are male presenting as female. One of them is a trans woman. One of the characters that is the target of multiple romantic thoughts is one of the males that is presenting as female. It's a really fun comedy series. Enjoyable, especially because it's only going to be 3 volumes. Next, we've got Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun, Volume 11. We've got the end of the Walter Park arc, and we've got a little date. We've got some friendship antics. And we've got the beginning of a training arc for Iruma, which is interesting. This doesn't really seem like the type of series that would use a training arc, but they kind of work it well into the story. He is essentially kind of training for one of these class events because essentially everybody in his school grade has to achieve a certain level or else they're going to get kicked out of their special classroom and have to go back to a crappy classroom. Great series, though. Next up, we've got Touring After the Apocalypse, Volume 5. We've got a lot of very, very serious stuff happening in this volume, a lot of very risky situations, all kind of revolving around this android boy that the main 2 characters run into and meet. And it's, I think, a sort of volcanoes part of Japan, specifically the Kusatsu Onsen. Okay, yeah, they're around Mount Asuma in Gunma Prefecture. I do like that they kind of highlighted those words in orange, because that's exactly what I was looking for. Mount Asuma Kusatsu Onsen. It was definitely a change in tone for this series, and I believe they actually do mention wanting to try and get back to the place they were originally at soon. So I'm not entirely sure how much longer this series is going to go on for. It does seem very nebulous about how much they're going to tour in Japan. But regardless, it's a good series. It's very fun to learn about all these parts of Japan and all the different things there, and see these girls kind of just having fun there. Then we've got Volume 5 of the Otherworld's books, Depend on the Bean Counter. This volume, we've got a separation between the 2 characters because Mr. Man here has to go take care of his nightly business, and he leaves Mr. Boy here all alone, and Mr. Boy does not behave himself and overworks himself because he is a chronic overworker. So antics ensue from that, as I'm sure you can imagine if you've read this series. Still really fun, really good. I guess should be more specific. He is getting further and further into investigating the church's issues with their money and trying to find where potential embezzlement, potential misreporting in their accounting funds is coming from. He's suggesting ideas that could potentially help the future of the society he's living in, but not for the benefit of anybody else, no, just because he wants the accounting department to make as much money as they can. Because he's very, very, very job-oriented. Then we've got Go 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 Ghost Volume 2. We actually have the main character that is being grudged in this volume met, and we kind of resolve the main somewhat resolve the main plot here at the very end of this volume. Believe we actually let me see. Oh no, I'm sorry. I think this is actually, gosh, I cannot open my book with my hands like this. I have very little dexterity in these paws. Anyways, with this volume I think we have almost the main plot resolving itself. We kind of have an intervention there that prevents everything from getting wrapped up with a pretty bow, but We still have more things continuing in this series with just the main girl running into people she dislikes strongly and develops a grudge on and taking revenge out on them in wacky and fun ways. Decent series. I'm not a huge fan of it personally, but it's okay. And then we've got The Dark History of the Reincarnated Villainess, Volume 11. We've actually got some more development with the main character trying to save more people and also dooming the story even more so in the process, trying to learn what she can and can't do in this story and why she can and can't do that in this story. And we do kind of have some development in that front as to learning why she is forced to, not learning why, kind of getting ideas as to why she's forced to continue the story along the normal path that it's supposed to be continuing along. At least she's asking these questions and trying to figure out why that's the case. Then we've got Volume 2 of At 2500 in Akasaka. We've got the main two characters finishing their series together and moving on to another series where they also end up together. Well, they also end up working in the same series, but there's a new cast member that is stirring some jealousy in the relationship, which isn't like I don't think they're officially dating, I'm not entirely sure, but some nice drama happening in this volume that's always fun. Then we've got another series I was really looking forward to, 100 Ghost Stories That Will Lead to My Own Death, Volume 1. A story about a young boy who is about to commit suicide when a girl tells him about this urban legend that if you tell ghost stories for, I think it's 100 nights in a row, you're... I don't know if she actually tells him why. Oh no, she just was like, okay, I'm gonna say you have to tell ghost stories for 100 nights in a row. I don't think she actually told him why. Let's see. She just said, have you ever heard of the 100 ghost stories? And then the story begins of him telling a ghost story every single night, and presumably after the 100th ghost story, he will die. But we don't know how yet. But covers are great for this series. The art's really cool. The horror is very well executed in this series, and I really look forward to reading more of it. Next, we've got The 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You, Volume 12, featuring a very biased popularity poll where, spoiler alert, everybody gets the same number of votes because they're all perfect girlfriends. And of course, the main guy gets the same number of votes too because they all voted for him. Very cute. We also get a new girl introduced in this volume, another maid related to, not literally related to, but in the same household as our existing maid girl. Still a great fun comedy, goofy, off-the-wall series. Definitely recommended from me, especially if you're decently okay with fan service in your types of series. Then we've got Volume 3 of The Condemned Villainess Goes Back in Time and Aims to Become the Ultimate Villain. We've got some scheming against the main character, of course, by her rival. Fermina, yes. Of course, by her rival Fermina, who I believe is her sister in this series, who's trying to paint her to be a terrible person, but she's actually not really a terrible person. And she's kind of trying to play back at it and play into the role a bit in a way that condemns Fermina. But the main thing in this volume is plotting against her by trying to blame her for the school orchestra's instruments missing. And we're kind of trying to unravel that in this volume and find out how the main villainess is going to prevent herself from getting smeared like that and smear it right back on Fermina. Then we've got Volume 5 of Delinquent Daddy and Tender Teacher. We've got some friction in the relationship in this volume because they are... No, is that the last volume that had the friction? Yes. Yes, we had some friction in this volume because I actually don't know why they chose to take a small break from each other. I don't think there was a inciting incident here. He just wanted the main father character to be able to be more independent, but the time separated with them made them feel even closer than they already were. We have potentially somebody maybe finding out about their relationship, somebody who works at the school with the main blondie boy, the teacher. Good BL series about two people who knew each other in high school, coming together in their adult years and finding love in each other and helping take care of his son. Good series. I'd recommend it. It's only 6 volumes. It's not that terrible of a commitment. Then we've got The Villainess Who Has Been Killed 108 Times. She Remembers Everything, Volume 4. We have got the resolution of the, I'm just going to call it like a 3-volume chase saga where they were getting chased out of the castle. They were trying to get killed. A whole lot of crazy stuff was happening. And I think it kind of is supposed to set up as like the prologue for the story, but because the manga got canceled at 4 volumes, it's just kind of ended there after they escaped, found safety, and we don't really get a very proper ending for this series, unfortunately. I don't think I'd recommend this. Maybe if you're into villainesses. I'm going to keep it because I am a villainess stan. I will read anything with a villainess that's not explicit and not... most of the time, I don't read the Shonen Villainess series. Then we've got My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999, Volume 4. We have got Akane finally potentially realizing her feelings for Yamada. We've got... Let's see. Yeah, we've got a new girl coming into the guild and complicating the dynamic of all of the characters. A new girl that's already existed in Yamada's life. It's a good romance. It's fun. We haven't gotten past the point where the anime ended yet. Then we've got If the Villainess and Villain Met and Fell in Love, Volume 2. In this volume, we have a fight getting resolved at the very beginning here. We have some more focus on the magic elements of this series, which I did really enjoy. We also have, of course, more of the romance kind of building up between the two main characters with some little trinkets and some cute shit happening. The fun. We've got some more. I think we also have some potential explanation. No. It's just mainly that magic working into building the romance between the main two characters, which I do really find the magic system interesting, how it's kind of like familiars that they summon as their main source of magic. Alright, next up we've got Toge Oni, Volume 5. Yes, Volume 5. We've got the Journey to the Moon happening in this volume, and we've got a minor spoiler, we've got characters getting split up because they're traveling through, I think they're traveling through the same portal, but their portal links to different places. One of them ends up on the moon, and 2 of them end up on other places. And before that, they're just kind of trying to figure out how exactly to get to the moon, and they meet with Amaterasu, what is her name? Tsukuyomi, who is really cosmic and very Lovecraftian with the way she's portrayed and how she's depicting herself, which is really interesting. I really like it. I definitely love the gods and goddesses in this series. They're very interesting characters to read about. We've got a few more volumes that I read that were new releases this month. I'm going to start with Tokyo Babylon Volume 5. It seems like we finally have things coming close to a head with the main antagonist of this series finally potentially revealing themselves soon. We have more of a conflict of interest. Or not more of a conflict of interest. We have Subaru meeting and trying to help an old man who is feeling betrayed by his family. And yeah, it's very emotional at the end here. with all of the things that are happening to the characters. A lot of really good stories getting explained in this volume. It's always a great read. Then we've got the final volume of She Likes Gays But Not Me, which is volume 3. In this volume, we have the main character fulfilling the last request of a character who met an unfortunate fate in a previous volume. I'm being vague intentionally because it's a short series, and it's definitely worth going through all the waterfalls on your own. It's a very, very intense drama series that hard head-on tackles the issues of homophobia and the issues of self-hatred, especially in Japan and in the high school setting. I think it was it was a good series, but it was a very hard read, especially if you're somebody who's felt pain from that type of bullying. But overall, it was a good resolution to a good series about a guy and a girl who likes gays, even though he doesn't like gays, and he is a gay. I believe that's what this title's supposed to mean anyways. On a lighthearted note, we've got Knights of the Cat, Volume 4. Really isn't much to talk about with this series. It is pretty much just short interstitials of the kitty being a cute kitty and being lovely with everybody. It's just a nice, lighthearted, fun read. We've got Minato's Laundromat, Volume 4. We've got a resolution for Minato's crush on the high school teacher he had when he was in high school. We've got a resolution to that, and we've got some potential progress in the main character's relationship, even though the age gap is still not great. But, I mean, you're reading at this point to experience their relationship. So we do potentially have some progress in that front, especially with a lot of jealousy brewing. Next, we've got Magical Girl Incident, Volume 3, which is the final volume. We actually tackle some interesting potential questions about gender presentation in this volume, which are really enjoyable. We've got the mystery girl that I think she was attacking places. Let's see. I don't remember if she was attacking things or whatever, but they were chasing her, trying to figure out who she was. Finally find out who she is, how she's connected to the Magical Girl Society, and we have the main plot just kind of resolving itself in this volume. I think it was a very good read, especially for only being 3 volumes. It handled a story very well and succinctly. I feel like it could have been longer with more arcs and plots going on, but it was a good read regardless, and I would recommend to give it a shot if you're interested in the magical girl genre. We've got 2 more volumes in this section, which are going to be Savage Garden Volume 2, through Ablaze Publishing by Hyun-Suk Lee. In this volume we've got, I don't think they actually give any sort of summary on this volume. Essentially, the main character trying to... It feels less like this volume is about the main character's relationship and more about one of the other characters. I think it's Jeremy. Actually, I think she's disguised as Jeremy, isn't she? No, yeah. One of the other main characters being bedridden and the other character potentially having to take over for him, but because of that, he's being forced into a heterosexual marriage where he feels like there's no love. There's a lot of drama happening and a lot of interpersonal issues happening in the series that are very difficult to sum up. And it's very blunt with the character's language against homosexuals. I think at some point one of the girls does say the word sodomite, which is not something I've really heard that often, but it does fit the setting. And just be forewarned, there's a bit of a harsh language used in this against gay people, but that's because, it's those characters saying that, not the author. It's a very good drama series, and I think it's going to be ending with the next volume, so definitely give it a shot. Then we've got the third volume of Centaurs by Ryo Sumiyoshi, with the current main character trying to venture down down from the mountains into the villages because he wants to meet humans. He wants to learn from humans, and we've got somebody who's lived through humans being terrible, who's trying to, I think he's his father. Let's see. He's either his father or he's his uncle. He is essentially very close to the boy, and kind of providing that role of being skeptic to humans. And in this volume, we kind of explore the relationship between humans and centaurs in the current day and his age. Very interesting read. Then I'm going to get into the stuff that I read that was not released this month, but stuff that I got around to reading finally. So I'm going to start off with the long-running series that I started reading, which was Buddha by Osamu Tezuka, Volumes 1 and Volume 2. This covers the story of the titular character Buddha and his life journey of becoming the Buddha. We've got a lot of characters that go through their own journeys in this series. It's kind of like an epic in its own way. And it actually takes, I think, until the end of the second volume before we even get introduced to the titular character. And he doesn't even have that much of a role in these first couple volumes. It's very much about the characters that are building up to the introduction of the character that's going to be known as the Buddha. It's a very, very good historical fiction series based very loosely on the tale of Buddha. I don't want to say I recommend it wholeheartedly yet because I haven't finished it, but it's very good from what I've read. My only thing with Tezuka is it always feels very draining and time-consuming to read his works, even if I do enjoy them. But that's probably just because there's always so much depth behind them that's a lot to work through and understand. Anyways, next I have the short series that I started, which is Antique Bakery. I actually finished this in January, so it's going to be talked about in January's reading log. It's a series about a man who grows up to be a patissier, and he works at this bakery that specializes in essentially everything that's served there being served in antique dishes and antique cutlery, that sort of thing. And he's an amazing world-class patissier working for a bakery that sells their goods at a much lower price than you'd normally come to expect from a world-class patissier. And it's about the main characters in the bakery, their relationships with each other. I don't want to say too much about how it goes down because that's going to kind of spoil their character growths, their character relationships. I will briefly say he is gay. He is what do they call it? I think a dangerous gay. Because he's so charismatic that any guy that he wants will end up falling for him. And that's caused so much drama at every other patissier that he's worked at that he ends up getting run out of them, no matter how amazing he is at his job. But it's a story about him and his co-workers at this patissier. Co-worker being, briefly summarizing, one of the co-workers being a boxer, an ex-boxer who is learning how to bake and become a patissier himself. The other one being a former businessman who decided to open a bakery to try and find the identity of somebody mysterious in his past. I'm being intentionally vague with that because his backstory is very interesting to learn about. And we also have the other character introduced into the bakery is a very close friend of the owner of the bakery who kind of took care of him and was there for him in a lot of his more difficult years. But it's a very, very good series. It is by Fumi Yoshinaga, and it is a yaoi. It's a BL, but it's actually no, I don't think it even is a yaoi. Well, it's not. It's in the same printing as the yaoi manga that Yoshinaga does, but it's one of her works that is not yaoi but has gay characters and gay influences in it. I very, very much recommend it, especially at only 4 volumes. It's a great read. Lastly, I've got some one-shots, which is starting with Mujirushi, The Sign of Dreams EP by Naoki Urasawa, which is a story featuring a character from Fujio Katsuka's Osamatsu-kun, the smiling salesman, essentially. And it's a story about a man who is extremely down on his luck, chasing after a sign to try and find a way to return to actually having money in his life. And his daughter, who is very strong-willed and very much will speak her mind and tries to prevent her father from falling down all these terrible rabbit holes that he's fallen down. It is a very good one-shot. It's by Naoki Urasawa, who is a very acclaimed mangaka. I don't think a lot of people like this one from what I saw online, but I think it's a fantastic story, personally. Next, we've got a couple Pokemon volumes. These are the last two things I read this month. We've got Pokemon Arceus and the Jewel of Life, and Pokemon The Rise of Darkrai. This one is about Arceus and a clan where Arceus was... I think Arceus saved the clan at some point. Yeah, Arceus saved this clan and provided them with a jewel to bring life back to their land, because the clan, one of the members of the clan, helped Arceus when Arceus was in trouble. So he's kind of paying back that favor, and then he says he will be back several years later to retrieve that jewel so he can kind of return to his full power. And they agree to it, but he gets betrayed by that clan and is now seeking vengeance upon them. And that's where Ash and the main characters kind of come into the story. It's a good story with a lot of time travel in it, which is interesting for a Pokemon manga. And I just realized Pikachu looks a little bit funky on this cover, but I enjoyed this. I don't know how the movie is, but the manga at least was a good adaptation of it. Then we've got Pokemon The Rise of Darkrai. And in this volume, let's see. Yes, we've got a lot of problems happening in Alamos Town, and we have the characters blaming Darkrai for them because Darkrai keeps appearing and essentially attacking people wantonly. And they're blaming Darkrai, but is Darkrai truly the reason that the townspeople are suffering, or is Darkrai trying to help them in his own flawed way? That's kind of what this story explores. It's a decent Pokemon story, kind of predictable, not the best writing, but I think it's an alright story personally. But that is everything that I read in December of 2024. Maybe I should do a reading log for my whole year of 2024. It'll only be 20 hours long, right? I don't think I would be able to talk after that. My voice is already going, but with that in mind, I will talk to everybody next month with my haul for January. Probably going to be a little bit smaller than my haul for December, which is going to be good for my wallet, but in February I have a convention I'm going to where I'm going to spend even more money, so I guess I'll see you guys next month. Bye.